We are approaching a recession. Now, before you navigate away, before you convince yourself that conditions are perfectly fine and your investments are performing wonderfully, it is essential that you grasp a crucial truth. Every individual viewing this presentation currently faces a decisive crossroad. You have two distinct paths available. You can proactively get ready for the approaching downturn, or you can become its casualty. Let me be perfectly clear. I have no interest in casualties. My focus is entirely on creating winners. Therefore, here is my immediate instruction for you at this very moment. Click that subscribe button. Why is this so critical? Because the insights I am preparing to share with you could be valued in the thousands, potentially even the tens of thousands, for your long-term financial health. If you are genuinely committed to safeguarding your capital, to accumulating wealth, even as the economic foundation weakens, then you must join this growing community. Press subscribe, enable notifications, and let's begin this vital work. Now, allow me to explain precisely how I recognize that a recession is imminent. I have operated in this arena for more than 4 decades. I have founded enterprises. I have dismantled enterprises. I have accumulated vast sums of money, and I have witnessed individuals lose their entire livelihoods. On every single occasion immediately preceding a market collapse, right before the economy disintegrates, I observe identical indicators, the same recurring cycles, the identical errors, what most people get wrong before downturns that people repeat incessantly. And right now, my friends, I am seeing those very indicators materialize once more. Do you want to understand the most colossal error people commit? They operate under the illusion that time is plentiful. They tell themselves, well, the market is still climbing. My home is still appreciating in value. My position at work is completely secure. Consequently, they continue their spending. They continue taking on debt. They continue existing as if the celebration will never conclude. However, I need to share a fundamental truth about celebrations. They always, without exception, come to an end. Always. And when this current party concludes, it will be utterly merciless for those who fail to prepare. My objective is not to frighten you. Fear is entirely counterproductive. Fear immobilizes you. My purpose is to rouse you from complacency. I am here to deliver a financial wake-up call to emphatically state that you must organize your affairs immediately because the time frame to shield yourself is rapidly diminishing. With each passing day, every week that you hesitate, that window of opportunity contracts further. When it finally slams shut, when the recession strikes, layoffs commence, and the stock market plunges 30, 40, or 50%, you will profoundly regret not heeding my advice today. So, what specific indicators am I observing that signal this impending reality? First, I analyze consumer debt levels. Are you aware of how much debt the typical American is currently carrying? Credit cards pushed to their limits, automobile loans that exceed the actual value of the vehicle, mortgages on homes they cannot truly afford. This is absolute madness. It is the exact scenario I witnessed prior to the last major collapse. Individuals are borrowing money to uphold a standard of living they cannot possibly maintain. When the economy decelerates, when corporations begin to scale back, when employment opportunities vanish, that entire debt burden transforms into a tightening noose. Second, I scrutinize corporate earnings. The mainstream media will proclaim that everything is spectacular. They will gesture toward a few major technology firms and declare, observe their outstanding performance, the dangerous debt trap. But I look beneath the surface. I examine the companies that actually employ the workforce, the enterprises that manufacture tangible goods and deliver essential services. What I perceive is severe margin compression. I see businesses slashing expenditures, terminating employees, and battling to preserve profitability. This is not a symptom of a robust economy. It is a symptom of an ailing economy that is poised to deteriorate further. Third, and this is the most significant one, I monitor the actions of the smart money, not their public statements, but their actual conduct. The smart money, the institutional investors, the billionaires, the individuals with access to information you and I lack. They are moving into defensive positions. They are extracting capital from high-risk assets. They are accumulating cash reserves. They are acquiring gold. They are purchasing treasury bonds. They are executing every possible maneuver to protect their wealth. Why? Because they possess knowledge of what is approaching. You may now be thinking, all right, I comprehend a recession is coming, but what specific action should I take? How do I actually protect myself? That is precisely what I intend to outline, but first you must internalize a fundamental principle concerning wealth. Wealth is not generated during periods of prosperity. Virtually anyone can earn money when the economy is flourishing. Your neighbor's dog could generate profits in a bull market. Authentic wealth, generational wealth, life-altering wealth is forged during periods of adversity. It is created by those who are prepared, who possess liquidity when everyone else is succumbing to panic, who can acquire assets when they are dramatically discounted. I have personally accrued more wealth during recessions than I ever did during economic booms. Why? Because I was prepared, because I was not caught off guard, because I possessed a strategic plan, and that is exactly what I will provide you today. A plan, a methodology, a detailed roadmap, not merely to survive the approaching recession, but to thrive throughout it. But here is the pivotal point, and you need to absorb this completely. This plan is only effective. Why cash becomes king if you act immediately. If you delay until the recession is officially declared, if you wait until headlines are screaming about layoffs and market crashes, you will be too late. The moment to prepare for a storm is before the storm makes landfall, not when the rain is falling, not when the wind is roaring, before. So let me pose a direct question. What is your current cash position? How much money do you hold in liquid assets that you can access instantly? I am not referring to your retirement account, not your home equity, actual cash. If you lost your employment tomorrow, how long could you sustain yourself? 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. I will tell you unequivocally, if you do not possess a minimum of 6 months worth of essential expenses in cash, you are not prepared for what is coming. You are vulnerable. And during a recession, vulnerable individuals are devastated. This is the stage where the majority of people fail. They hear the warning, they nod in agreement, and then they proceed to do absolutely nothing. They revert directly to their spending routines, their debt accumulation habits, their poor financial choices. Then, when the recession arrives, they perform astonishment. They behave as though this outcome was entirely unforeseeable. I am not going to permit that to happen to you. Not if you possess the intelligence to listen and act. The first action you must take, and I mean this week, not next month, not when the mood strikes you, this week, is to construct your cash fortress. I term it a fortress because that is precisely its function. It is your protection, your shield, your most potent weapon. The phrase cash is king during a recession is universal, yet almost nobody practices it. People keep their capital locked in stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency, assets that will plummet precipitously when the market collapses. Subsequently, they are left with nothing, no liquidity, no alternatives, no power. This is my personal strategy. I maintain a minimum of 20% of my net worth in cash and cash equivalent instruments. Some consider this lunacy. They argue you are losing value to inflation. Cash is worthless. And you know my response, that perspective is foolish. When the market crashes 40% and I can purchase your stock holdings for pennies on the dollar. When your business faces spending mistakes to stop immediately bankruptcy and I can acquire your assets for 20 cents on the dollar, who appears foolish then? Cash provides you with optionality. It grants you freedom. It furnishes you with the capacity to be a buyer when all others are compelled to be sellers. How then do you build this cash fortress? You eliminate expenses ruthlessly. I want you to review your bank statement right now, every single transaction from the previous month. And for each expense, ask yourself one definitive question. Is this an absolute necessity? Not, do I enjoy it? Not, do I feel I deserve it? Is it necessary? If the answer is negative, you terminate it immediately. That subscription service you scarcely use, eliminated. That gym membership you utilize twice a month, canceled. That expensive car payment for a vehicle beyond your needs, sell it. Purchase a more affordable option. People detest hearing this advice. They believe I am being harsh. They think I am instructing them to live like aesthetics. But do you know what I am genuinely doing? I am attempting to salvage your financial life because every single dollar you conserve now is a dollar. You will have to protect yourself when conditions deteriorate. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can invest when assets become inexpensive. This is not about being miserly. This is about being profoundly intelligent. Now, the second imperative task is to eliminate bad debt. Note my specific phrasing, bad debt. Not all debt is equivalent. If you have a mortgage at 3%, I am not advising you to repay it early. That is inexpensive capital. However, credit card debt at 20%, automobile loans at 8%, personal loans, that category of debt is destroying you. It is a malignancy on your financial well-being, and you must excise it immediately. Here is my tactical approach. List every debt obligation you have sequenced from the highest interest rate to the lowest. Then assault the highest interest debt with every resource at your disposal. Every spare dollar, every bonus, every tax refund. Direct all of it toward annihilating that debt. Why? Because that debt is costing you more than any potential investment could earn currently. If you are paying 20% interest on a credit card balance, paying it off equates to a guaranteed 20% return on your money. Identify an investment that provides a guaranteed 20% return. You cannot. It does not exist. Let me elaborate further on debt. When the recession strikes and corporations initiate layoffs, who is impacted first? Individuals burdened with debt, they are the most desperate. Defensive investing strategies. They cannot negotiate. They cannot afford to take risks. They cannot await a superior opportunity. They must accept any available job because they have mandatory payments. That is servitude, financial slavery. And I do not desire that for you. The third element, and this is absolutely critical, is to diversify your income streams. Most people rely on a single income source, their job. They perceive this as security. It is not security. It is profound vulnerability. Because if you lose that position, your income instantaneously drops to zero. In a recession, nobody is immune. I am indifferent to your industry or your competence. Layoffs occur. Companies fail. Entire sectors can collapse. Therefore, what must you do? You create additional revenue streams. I am not referring to dubious get-rich-quick schemes or multi-level marketing ventures. I am discussing authentic, sustainable sources of income. Perhaps it is a side business, perhaps it is rental income from a property, perhaps it is dividend income from investments, perhaps it is freelance work within your area of expertise. The specific form is less important than the principle. You require more than one method of generating money. I personally maintain 17 distinct income streams. Why? Because I never wish to be dependent on any single source. If one stream evaporates, I have 16 others. That is authentic. Is security. That is genuine financial independence. You do not need 17, but you absolutely need more than one. Initiate on a modest scale. Begin with 2, then expand from that foundation. Now let us discuss your investment portfolio because this is where people commit catastrophic errors. They panic. The market begins its descent and they liquidate everything. Or even worse, they remain passive and observe their portfolio lose half its value. Both approaches are disastrous. You must comprehend this core concept. A recession is not an apocalypse. It is a transfer of wealth. Wealth migrates from the unprepared to the prepared, from the panicked to the patient, from weak hands to strong hands. So what is my investment strategy? I transition to a defensive posture before the recession hits. This entails reducing my exposure to high-risk assets. I secure profits on stocks that have appreciated excessively. I divest from positions where my confidence is not absolute, and I reallocate that capital into defensive holdings. What constitutes a defensive position? Consider consumer staples. Consider healthcare. Consider utilities. These are companies providing products and services that remain essential. How the wealthy prepare for recessions regardless of economic conditions. People still require food, electricity, and medicine. These stocks may not surge dramatically during prosperous periods, but they also do not collapse as severely during downturns. I also increase my allocation to dividend-paying stocks. Why? Because dividends provide income even while share prices are declining. If you reinvest those dividends during a recession, you are acquiring more shares at depressed prices. This is the mechanism for building wealth. This is how you emerge from a recession wealthier than you entered it. However, here is the crucial differentiator, the factor that separates winners from losers. You must have cash reserves ready to deploy when panic peaks. when the market has fallen 30, 40, or 50% and everyone is shrieking that the world is ending. That is your moment to buy. That is your shopping spree. That is when you acquire exceptional companies at liquidation prices. But you can only execute this if you possess cash. If you are fully invested when the crash arrives, you cannot purchase anything. You are relegated to observing the opportunity pass you by. I have executed this maneuver multiple times throughout my career. During every recession, every market crash, I have built a fortune. Not because I am more intelligent than others, not because I own a crystal ball, but because I was prepared, because I held cash, because I had a definitive plan. While everyone else panicked, I was acquiring assets. Let me address a topic nobody wishes to confront, yet everyone must understand. Your career, your job, the entity that currently pays your bills. In a recession, your value to your employer will be tested. If you are not prepared, if you are not indispensable, you will be placed on the chopping block. It is that straightforward. Corporations do not terminate their top performers. They eliminate their most costly employees and their least productive employees. So, which category do you occupy? Here is your action plan starting tomorrow. Make yourself invaluable. Discover methods to generate revenue for your company. Identify ways to reduce costs. Assume responsibility for projects that others avoid. Become the individual your manager cannot envision losing. Because when layoffs are implemented, and they will be, decisions are made within 30 seconds. A manager reviews a list of names and asks one question: can I afford to lose this person? If the protecting income and job security answer is affirmative, you are eliminated. Furthermore, you must be actively networking right now. Not after you lose your job, not when you are desperate, but now. You need to cultivate relationships within your industry. You must maintain visibility. You must be known, because if you are laid off, your professional network will be your salvation. Your lifeline will not be submitting resumes into a void. It will be a telephone call from someone who knows you, trusts you, and desires to hire you. That does not occur accidentally. It occurs because you invested time building those relationships before you needed them. I will now describe the most significant opportunity a recession creates, an opportunity most people entirely overlook: real estate. When the economy falters, when people lose employment, when they cannot afford their mortgage payments, real estate prices collapse. This is when astute investors build generational wealth. I am not discussing house flipping or speculation. I am referring to acquiring rental properties at substantial discounts and holding them for the long term. Here is the rationale. During a recession, individuals who lose their homes still require shelter. They transition into renters. Consequently, rental demand often increases during economic contractions. Simultaneously, property prices decline. Therefore, you are purchasing at low prices while collecting stable or potentially increasing rental income. That is a powerful combination. However, there is a prerequisite. You need cash to execute this. You require a down payment. You need financial reserves. You must be capable of closing on properties when traditional lenders have ceased offering credit. This demonstrates why every preceding instruction is interconnected. The cash fortress you built, the debt you eliminated, the supplementary income you created, all converge to provide you the capacity to act when opportunity manifests. While everyone else is terrified, while everyone else is insolvent, you are poised to act. You are prepared to acquire assets that will generate wealth for the next 2, 3, or 4 decades. Allow me to share a personal reflection. I have navigated multiple recessions throughout my career. I have witnessed individuals lose everything. I have observed families devastated. I have seen prosperous people end in bankruptcy. The common denominator: they were unprepared. They believed prosperous opportunities created by recessions times were perpetual. They leveraged themselves to the maximum. They spent every dollar they earned. When the recession struck, they possessed no buffer, no contingency plan, no exit strategy. But I have also witnessed the opposite. I have seen individuals emerge from recessions as millionaires, people who purchased businesses for a fraction of their value, people who accumulated real estate portfolios, people who constructed wealth that altered their family's trajectory for generations. Their common denominator: they were prepared. They sacrificed during prosperous times so they could prosper during difficult times. They understood that wealth is not built by following the crowd. Wealth is built by executing the actions the crowd refuses to take. Therefore, here is my final challenge to you. I want you to make a decision at this moment. Will you be a casualty or a conqueror? Will you permit this recession to devastate you, or will you harness it to build wealth? The choice is binary. No middle ground exists. The recession is inevitable irrespective of your preference. The sole variable is your level of preparedness. Starting today, I want you to implement every strategy I have outlined. Build that cash reserve, slash those expenses, eradicate that destructive debt, diversify your income, make yourself indispensable at work, develop your professional network, position your investments defensively. Then when the crash materializes, when everyone else is panicking, you will remain calm. You will be prepared. You will be seeking bargains while they are liquidating in terror. This is not hypothetical theory. This is not knowledge I acquired from a textbook. This is the methodology I have applied repeatedly throughout my career. This is how I have built wealth. This is how I have not only survived but thrived through every economic downturn. If you adhere to this plan, if you actually execute the work instead of merely nodding in agreement and forgetting by tomorrow, you can achieve identical results. Now, I require something from you. If this presentation has been valuable, if you now comprehend the necessary actions, I need you to emphatically click the like button. Why? Because it signals the platform's algorithm to distribute this video to a wider audience. Presently, millions of people urgently need to receive this message. Individuals who are on the verge of financial destruction because no one alerted them. You can assist me in reaching them by clicking that like button. Second, I need you to subscribe Final Advice Before the Crash to this channel and join as a member. Why? Because this is merely the commencement. I will be releasing extensive additional content on navigating this recession, specific investment concepts, detailed strategies, real-time updates on my market observations. However, I can only produce this content if this channel expands. If you desire access to that information, you must be part of this community. Click subscribe, enable notifications, become a member. Third, I need you to share this video, send it to friends, forward it to family, post it on your social media platforms. Why? Because the individuals you care about also require this knowledge. Perhaps they will not listen to you, but perhaps they will listen to me. Perhaps this video will serve as the wake-up call that rescues their financial future. You possess the power to assist them. Utilize it. I will conclude with this final perspective. Recessions are inevitable. They are an intrinsic component of the economic cycle. They have occurred previously and they will recur. However, they do not have to be devastating. In fact, for the prepared, the intelligent, and the disciplined, recessions represent the greatest wealth-building opportunities in existence. The key is preparation. The key is action. The key is executing the instructions I have provided today before the window closes. The clock is actively ticking. Each day you delay is an irretrievable day. Each week you procrastinate brings you closer to the collapse. Do not become the individual who 6 months from now laments, "I wish I had listened." Become the individual who reflects and states, "I am profoundly grateful I took action when the chance existed." Your financial destiny rests in your hands. No external entity is arriving to rescue you. Not the government, not your employer, not your family. The responsibility is entirely yours. Therefore, assume control, take decisive action, execute the work, construct your fortress, and when the storm ultimately arrives, you will be secure within its walls while others are being destroyed outside. That distinguishes winners from losers. That separates wealth from poverty. That defines the difference between you 6 months from now being financially broken or being strategically positioned to build generational wealth. The decision belongs to you. Choose correctly. I will await you in the next presentation.